One of the biggest mistakes I see on Pinterest is naming boards things like stuff I like or good ideas. It might sound harmless, but they do absolutely nothing for your traffic. Pinterest needs clear keywords and not random guesswork. Adam Payne here, and I help people get started online and build something that earns an income. Pinterest is one of the easiest ways to do that, but only if you set things up properly. In this video, I'll show you how to name your boards so they actually work and bring in the right kind of traffic. So let's get started. So this is a test account that I've got, and it's easy for me to show you on this account some examples of good boards and bad board names. So if we come down here and we click on saved, this is where we can see all of our boards if we have them created. Now we can click on this little filter and sort them alphabetically, custom or last pin added, but we'll leave it alphabetically for now. The very first pin at the top left will always be all pins, and every single pin that you post on Pinterest will automatically go there as well. But all of these other boards, they have names: bucket gardening, camping, camping meals, canning. And these are not just things that are made up. These are words or phrases that make sense for this particular topic or niche that I know have some form of search volume on Pinterest. Now, how do I know that? Well, there are two ways. We can go and begin to set up an ad, and we can look inside of Pinterest's own keyword tool, or we can use a third-party tool such as PinQuest. So let me go over to PinQuest, and I'm going to log in. Give me a second. There'll be a link for a free trial, though. You can try this out for 3 days. And you just want to put in a name here, something that's related to either a blog post or something within your niche that you're thinking of when it comes to a board. So if I go back to my one here, we've got, let's say, canning. If I come down here and type in canning and hit enter, wait for a second, and we can see that canning is here. It has both a taxonomy on Pinterest, related interests as well. If you'd like to learn more about what those mean, I've got another video that I'll link to in the description. But this tells me that this does get search volume, 40,000 words. Now, I could create a board just called canning, but I could also create a board called canning recipes. I could also create a board called canning for beginners if I wanted to. It's up to me how many of these that I want to create individual boards for. Some of them would have a little bit of overlap, so I'd have to be careful. But ideally, I'd want to focus on things that have both a taxonomy and related interests. So if I click this and click this, wait for a second, just kind of come outside for a second, then we get even better ideas, and we can see the search volume. Now, if I come right the way down to the bottom, I might find things that are a bit weird or a bit long or just don't make sense for me, and I wouldn't want to, have a whole board on that. But I could create a board on canning for beginners, and then I can have an article, canning peaches for beginners, and that article I can turn into 5, 10, 15 pins, all of which could go to that board, and it would make sense. So it kind of starts with, urban survival or survival, then it goes to canning, then it might go to canning for beginners, something like that. But it makes sense to have a board name like that because there's search volume. Now, if we go back to Pinterest, and if I scroll down a little bit, we'll see some bad ones here. So let's kind of come down to this one. Improvised weapons. This is a bad name for a board, primarily because weapons is not something that Pinterest likes or allows, so it's really going to limit the reach if you have a board that's called that. So that's not something that I would advocate doing. Similarly, there are going to be certain boards here that I've named that just have names that are too long or don't get any search volume. So let's see if we can find them. How to survive drought, for example. That might be something that people search on Google. Maybe there are YouTube videos on this, but is this something people really search for on Pinterest? It's not really. So how to survive drought, now there may well be blog posts and articles that you have on this topic. Is that going to be a good keyword? And in fact, if we go over to PinQuest and we type in how to survive drought, I'm pretty sure that there's not going to be much on here. Exactly. So there's nothing wrong having an article about this and driving traffic from other places. Now, if we remove this how to, and we put survive drought, probably still going to mean nothing. How about if we just go with drought? And again, we've got drought here, but if we come right the way to the top, it's not really something related to what we're talking about. So this is an example of a poorly named board. Other examples are ones that I mentioned at the start of the video, such as, things related to your name, things that are just too vague or cute. You want to make sure that you're naming boards based on what people are actually searching for. And if you do that, then it's going to make a lot more sense. So this is another account that I have, and I'm sorry that I have to blur stuff out, but there are too many copycats online. However, we can see that over the last 30 days, these boards on this account, which have a lot more thought put into the naming conventions, you can see that these boards get a decent amount of traffic. And these are just 2 example boards. There are tons and tons of boards on this account. Each board has multiple pins, and I'm continually adding to this daily. For this particular account, I'm publishing anywhere from 5 to 7 or 8 pins a day. I know there are people out there that advocate and do much bigger numbers when it comes to pinning, but this is what I found to be the sweet spot for this particular account. But you've got to really test it yourself to find the sweet spot for you. Now, a little bonus to finish this video, once you've created a board, you need to give that board a description, and we can leverage on AI to help us write this description, but we're going to give AI a little bit of input. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to go to this board here, which is called homesteading. I'm going to click on the little icon, and you can see that there is no description in here. So first of all, my board's name was homesteading. So I'm going to go over to PinQuest and do a little bit of search for that keyword first. Here we are inside of the PinQuest Keyword Explorer. I'm going to put homesteading in there and hit enter. I'm then just going to turn this on, although I probably don't need to because you can see they've already got them there. But we can see, as opposed to homesteading, homesteading for beginners seems to be a good one. So I'm going to click on homesteading for beginners, and we got these extra related interests in here. So what I'll do first of all is I'll copy homestead for beginners, and I'll come back here and I'll rename that. Now I need a description to put in here. So there are a few things that we can do. I'm going to leverage something called Harper AI, but pretty much you can use any AI tool that you want. I've got this as a Google Chrome extension, so I'm going to open this up here. And basically Harper AI reads the page, so it can see what's on this page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure this little blue thing is turned on so it can read the page, and I'll give it a command. Something like, please write a 350 to 400 character Pinterest board description. So that'd be the first thing we want it to do. However, we want it to include these keywords naturally if you can. I don't want to force it. Now I'm going to go back to PinQuest, and we've got all of these here. So I'm going to copy all of these related interests. I'm going to come back to Pinterest. I'm just going to hit space and paste them in. I'm going to get rid of these 2. I don't like things related to aesthetic or wallpaper. 1 acre homestead layout doesn't seem to make much sense to me. And I'm just going to go here. I'm going to get rid of this as well. These 2 actually. I'm going to get rid of layouts. And we've got some in here, and I think that's more than enough. Now we'll hit enter and we'll see. We may or may not get something good. Now this is fine, but I'm going to say something like rewrite it, encourage people to follow me, and make it human sounding, not AI, even though obviously it is AI. And then we've got this. I'm not quite sure whether that is more human or not, but we can copy this. And what have we got in here? We've got homesteading for beginners in here, homestead life, urban backyard, backyard homestead, urban homesteading tips, and it all seems to make sense. So we'll put that in there. We'll get rid of Harper and we'll hit done, and now we have a keyword rich description. So if you can do that for your boards, and of course you can write these manually, it's totally fine, but by leveraging these third-party tools like PinQuest, we're not just guessing or assuming, we're actually using real data to name our boards and to write our descriptions. So thank you for watching. I'd appreciate a thumbs up if you've made it this far and you like this video. Please leave any questions below. I've also put together a Pinterest niche navigator guide. So if you're struggling to choose a niche on Pinterest or you want to validate an idea, I'll leave a link below. So if you want to grab that, you can. Other than that, I'll see you in another video soon. Take care.